Catching up with Sarah and Ginny, fueled by laughter and insights aplenty. Curiosity, connection, and learning that sticks. Real talk, real lives with practical tips. Welcome to Catching Up with Sarah and Ginny. Come on in.
Hello, Mary, and it's lovely to have you catching up with Sarah and Ginny.
Hello, Mary. Wonderful to see you. Fabulous.
Great to have the chance to spend a bit of time with you both. So thank you for inviting me.
Wonderful.
And I have to say, before we even began, we all had a little conversation about putting lipstick on before we do any podcast. Whether people are listening or watching, it doesn't matter. It makes us feel better, doesn't it? And that's what's important.
And the listeners can all know that
definitely.
we're all three of us are sat here with our lipstick on, so it's always good.
Yeah. So, Mary, this is a huge one, I think. Can you introduce yourself to us?
So delighted to be joined by Mary Myatt, and we've been working in education for over 30 years. I started off as an RE teacher, and I taught in London and Cambridge, but for the most part of my career, it's just outside Ipswich in Suffolk. And then I joined the local authority, and then I went independent about 15 years ago. And essentially what I do is I work in schools, talking to pupils, teachers, and leaders about learning, leadership, and the curriculum. And in order to clarify my own thinking, I write about it through blogs and books, and one or two people found those helpful. So yes, that's who I am, and that's what I do.
Wonderful. I think lots of people have found those helpful, Mary. I certainly find them really helpful. And the blogs as well. It's that wonder of just having that little reminder on a regular basis. And I think that's the power of the blogs as well. And actually, that's the power with social media as well. It's having that opportunity to just have that little nudge and reminder. Particularly, I love all the work that you do around books and the importance of kind of quality text and high quality text. So within that, have you got a wow moment that you'd like to share? It can be recent, it can be something just that's kind of made you stop and think, or anything you like really that you want to share.
Yes, I've definitely got one, which was just about a couple of weeks or so ago, and it relates to the reading that is my life's work, sharing this. And so it's a school, part of a multi-academy trust, where I'd spoken at a conference in June 2024 to the whole trust. It's a large trust up in the northwest, and this executive principal and her deputy heard me talk about the impact of the faster read in secondary and some headlines of what happens in primary. And they immediately started researching it. And then at the start of the autumn term, they implemented the faster read, the just read across the whole of Key Stage 2, including Year 6. It's quite edgy, include something in Year 6.
Yeah.
And what they found when I went to see them a couple of weeks or so ago, and I visited all the lessons, oh my goodness, spine-chillingly magical. Couldn't tell which child might have had additional needs, which child might have struggled to, sit still. And so they were just all completely engrossed across Year 3, Year 4, Year 5, and Year 6. And we can say, oh, that's all very nice and cuddly, Mary, but actually the proof of the pudding is always in the outcomes. And one of those classes in Year 6 that had trialled this last year, 46% greater depth in their reading.
Wow.
So you can't really quarrel with that. So that was just fantastic, and just seeing the utter absorption of those young people across Key Stage 2 was a deep wow for me.
And that's wonderful. And I think it is, that whole Key Stage 2, particularly the Year 5, 6, it's kind of a little bit forgotten at times. And it's wonderful to see that importance of making sure they're included and there is that richness. I love that, Mary. That's wonderful. Thank you.
It is that fizz, isn't it? When you see something happening, and actually from the point of view, Mary, I think the fact that you'd spoken about it and then someone had taken it on further and embedded it, because we can hear somebody talk at a conference or somebody can come in and then life can take over. But for them to actually fully take it on board, embed it, and then for you to go back in, that is a wow moment, isn't it? Because it has made such an impact to so many. One of my colleagues said, we always need to look at kind of what impact things are making. And so to see that as a cycle is, well, it's just brilliant, isn't it?
And it's
Yeah, and it was a lovely piece of serendipity that actually I went to visit the school, because I have my week set aside where I do school visits just to go and poke around and see interesting stuff and, have a chat with people. And I hadn't actually planned to go to this school. I'd already got the others mapped out. But I was at the Racial Equality Network dinner in Leeds a couple of months or so ago. These two colleagues came bouncing up at the end. They said, "You'd never guess what. We took on board what you said, and
Wow.
we just want to share it with you." Well, as you can imagine, my heart was singing, and so I made a point of actually visiting them as I was visiting the other schools as well. So it was just neat the way life sort of threw us together at this lovely, lovely dinner in Leeds a few months or so ago. It's hilarious.
And it is that wonder of seeing it in action, seeing the things happening, and it is that kind of, people say to me, "Well, where do we begin? What do we do to make a difference?" Ginny and I talk a lot about kind of, we've been looking at invisible inclusion, and kind of, as you said, you can't see any of those learners that maybe have got those more additional needs, and actually, it's that whole thing around making learning irresistible. And people are like, "Where do we start? What do we do?" Let's make it fun. Let's get that curiosity. Let's get them enjoying whatever it is that you're enjoying as well. Wonderful. Thank you,
And I
Mary.
think also it's that idea of connection, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I love the fact that people kind of tiggered up to you, they bounced up to you because they had to tell you.
Yeah.
And isn't that wonderful that you have that connection with the people who you've spoken with, that they need to tell you. I love that as well. And Sarah and I also talk so much about connection and about how siloed we can be in education. And actually, someone knows that you will be so interested in what they've implemented. So no, it's great. And it's what I call that yum yum time, Mary. It's when we go into a
Yeah.
classroom or we go into a school and we become re-energized, don't we? And
Yeah.
that is a word, re-energization is so important, because it kind of keeps our cup full, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think we've also got an obligation to share that when we see it.
Yeah.
So I did blog about it. I didn't mention the school, and there was other great work that I'd seen. And also we've put in a submission for the Festival of Education for them to come and talk about it. So it's just really important.
Wonderful.
Good, if stuff is going well, the rest of the world needs to know.
And
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's magnifying what we sometimes call the quieter voices, or like I say, schools can feel quite siloed, and it's like, you are doing something amazing. Your voice needs amplifying in events such as the Festival of Education, so that people so that people can really relate to it, because it's what's happening on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis as
Yeah.
well. So fabulous, absolutely fabulous, Mary. They're just brilliant to hear. So Mary, if Send were a song, what would it be and why?
There's no logical connection to this, but what immediately sprang to mind was "Speed, Bonny Boat, like a bird on the sea." And just because my dad used to sing it to us when we were little, and he was a brilliant teacher in London, in Peckham Rye, and
Oh, wow.
he was he was a maestro. He was a maverick too, but he used to sing that to us, and I just think he was the most wonderfully inclusive thinker and practitioner in the days before those were even words. He loved every student he taught, and yeah, he took great delight in just being with them and
Yeah.
teaching them and sharing his love of literature. So, and he used to sing that to us. And so for me, when we're talking about uh, our young people and our colleagues who have special needs, just think, I just think let's all remember our deep humanity, that we're more alike than we are dissimilar, and that the way that humans respond to things of beauty and of the lovely potential that there is in the curriculum, then every child, it seems to me, every adult has got a right to access that, whether it's art, literature, music, or big ideas. And so there's no logic. It makes my heart sing. Speed, bunny boat, like a bird on the wing.
But But I think the joy of that's what, with all the songs that we've kind of had shared with us, it's around what it means to you and how it makes you think differently, how it makes you think positively, how it makes you think joyfully about something. And I think that's really key. With that, we'll have to add that one to our Spotify playlist.
Yes. Yes, we will. And I think it is so lovely because it evokes memories.
Yeah.
And actually, it's about revisiting songs. And I think this idea of revisiting and the memories is so important. In education, we can feel like we need to move on very quickly. But actually, let's
Yeah.
revisit things because that gives comfort, doesn't it? And we all revisit songs. I mean, I revisit a lot of songs from the 80s, Mary, a lot of songs from the 80s. And I just love this. I don't know that it is the memory aspect of
Yeah.
it.
And also those heart, as you said, sharing the beautiful things that everybody,
Mm.
the passion and the depth and the kind of potential of the curriculum as well. I mean, that's the beauty in the work that you do, Mary, as well. Just kind of the encouragement of let's all be aware of these things. Wonderful. And on that, Mary, what the kind of final question is around your favourite book. I'll be interested in this one. It can be a book that you share, kind of from a young age, or it can be something recently, whatever it is you'd want to share with the people.
Yeah, so they change a lot. Depends on what I've just downloaded, what's just been sent to me. I mean, I really rate the series that Tom Sherrington is doing. He's always got about 1,000 series going on, but it's the one, the history one, I particularly like, with Cat Prieks and Hugh Thomas, I think it is. Some lovely examples in there. But more separately, on a different note, in terms of my own reading, I don't often read things twice, but I am reading this one twice, and it's called The 15 Commitments to Conscious Leadership.
Oh.
And it's absolutely fascinating. And at the heart of it is unpacking, it's not for everyone, it's a bit woo, some of it, but some of the hardest nosed entrepreneurs that I'm aware of are deep into this stuff. But anyway, so at the heart of it is we, most of us are coming from a place of unconscious leadership, coming from ego, coming from responses, a lot of them negative to the world and life events. And actually what we want to transform is from a place which they call above the line of openness, curiosity, generosity, lack of judgment, and a place of sufficiency. There is enough for everyone as opposed to below the line. It's just absolutely fascinating. So I can really ask myself, I read it a few months ago again, I've started rereading it this weekend, to remind myself, because you don't move into new spaces and try to achieve new states of being just like that. You have to, it's sort of ongoing process, really. Anyway, it's really interesting.
Mary, I love that. I'm going to be looking that one up. Ginny, have you heard of that
No,
one? No, I'm going to be
no, I
looking.
haven't. But this idea of curiosity and openness and the consciousness, I think, is so important because we can become, I don't know, narrowed, we can become blinkered just by the dailiness of dailiness.
But
And,
yeah, just thinking that.
curiosity is
Yeah,
huge,
just
isn't it, Sarah?
that below the line. I just love
Mm,
that. I just love even that thinking of there's enough. Because it
yeah.
does become very competitive. Things become competitive or you think you want your point or this point or that point. And it's like, actually, it's enough for both points to be there to sit for a moment and us just to have a kind of understanding about both perspectives, both point or both views, and then kind of move forward with that. I think sometimes, particularly I find within the work that I do at the moment, it's around, people want to push that view because that's going to take up all the space. And it's about having there's enough space for us all, but it's that, and then if you think of things as open, you've got more time and opportunity, haven't you, to consider everyone's ideas. I love that, Mary. No, that's wonderful.
I love it. And this idea of I often talk about percolating or mulling things over
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I'm
pausing. That I'm not going to say what I mean, what's at the forefront of my mind, I'm just going to mull that over. And I think this idea of saying, leave that one with me, I need to mull that over. I think it allows everybody that space, doesn't it, Mary, to kind of absorb it, think about it before we then form an opinion, because our initial viewpoint may be different to one that we've mulled over.
Or dismiss. I find
Oh,
sometimes things are dismissed very quickly, and it's around, rather than dismissing something, it's around, having an understanding of what that might mean moving forward. I remember when I first went in and worked in my first special school, one of the things I was told as a kind of a literacy lead, and I had this huge passion for literacy. I'd come from mainstream, I worked in a special school, and it was, "Oh, what you've learned, it's gonna be very different here." So it's actually a very different approach. And that was when I was first, and I remember being like, "But you've hired me as a literacy lead? Like, why would you hire me and then want me to have like, it's that they've learned in a very different way." And that's why I pursued my MA, my PhD, because I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe I need to find out more about this, because, I was young and I was quite aware. Well, they obviously know more than I do.
Yeah.
And it's that approach, isn't it, Mary? That it's really tricky sometimes, because that makes it a hard environment to exist.
Yes, it does. And as you were both talking about, you know, uh, pausing and mulling on things and dwelling on things, I've just written the afterword for a new book that's coming out, I don't know, at some point, so, by Arlene Holmes Henderson and Kat Howard, and it's on reclaiming rhetoric
Right.
in the curriculum, and it's really interesting. Just reminded me, I just sent it over this morning, my afterward, that 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 point of mulling and considering alternative points of view, it's both, it takes the heat out, but also provides for more thoughtful responses, and also
Yeah.
considering alternative points of view. And it links back to the 15 commitments, in terms of coming from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they
that's
have
really
some
true.
great
Yeah.
terminology. Yeah, they have some great terminology, like, are we powered by, do we do our work with uh, clean energy or dirty energy? And dirty energy is, I'm forcing myself,
Yeah.
there's from a place of blame, or clean energy is from a place of abundance and inspiration. And actually, they talk about love.
Yeah.
It's hardness coming from a place of love. Yeah, but it all kind of hangs together and makes sense. It just means you're not avoiding the difficult, hard stuff, but
Yeah.
you've got a greater capacity to sort out the wheat from the chaff, and to really focus on the stuff that's going to make a dent in the issues. It's so interesting.
Well, that's really interesting. And I think that's what, even starting the podcast, Ginny and I were kind of looking at, how can we bring a bit of lightness, but not in a way that dilutes what's happening out there, but actually make space for some kind of conversations which are a little bit. That's why the book and the song, it adds a bit of kind of lightness around
Nice.
that, but it also just adds a bit of love, of joy, of making things seem a little bit possible. Hopefully, that's
I'm
wonderful.
I'm I'm loving this idea, Mary, of clean and dirty energy.
No,
I mean,
I've written that down.
yeah, so have I. So have I. We've both written it down. This has been kind of reassuring and energizing, Mary.
Yeah,
And I love the conversation that we've had, that we're all chipping in about the kind of the same questions and the same. I don't know if it is concerns, but this being, I've written down the act of finding out more.
yeah,
You
because it
know,
is an act as well, isn't it? If you're towards finding out more, I think that's really important. Oh, oh, there we
that it
go.
has been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Mary. A brilliant song choice for our Spotify playlist, and a brilliant book, which I am going to go and buy, because
Yep,
you've
me
you've
so.
inspired me to read about it. Those little kind of snippets. So thank you so much for joining us. And as we always say, Sarah, it's always a pleasure.
Never a chore.
Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Oh,
That was
just
wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank
just
you.
great to chat with you both.
joining us this time on Catching Up with Sarah and Ginny.
Always a pleasure and never a chore.